wine at the Radisson Hotel in Green Bay. This is Locker Room with Local 5 Sports Director Bert Griffin.
Green Bay's home opener was slow from the start, but the final quarter saw the Pack come back in a big way. And now on a short week, a date with Detroit looms large Thursday night. Get ready for another edition of Locker Room. Well, good evening and welcome to the Cedar and Sage restaurant inside the Radisson Hotel and Conference Center. The Packers are now 2-1 after sending the Saints marching back to the Big Easy, and now they've got 2 days before the Detroit Lions will be at Lambeau Field. Here to talk about that and all things green and gold, former Packers defensive back and Super Bowl champion Jared Bush. What's up, buddy? What's up, man? We had 2 weeks of yin and yang. 3 quarters of great football in Atlanta, 1 bad one. Not so great in Green Bay, and then all of a sudden they turn it on in the 4th quarter. Have you seen or been a part of a game where 17 points, I mean, that was the 2nd biggest comeback in Packers history?
Yeah, you know, playing 9 years, I definitely feel like you've seen it all. The Hail Mary,
yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Most of you guys, Packer fans, have you guys known that was a tough game. And so when you see this game, it's just an amount of how resilient can you be, and do you have the mentality of find it mentality? You know what I'm saying? Can you find a way to win? And that's ultimately what it's all about. No matter how down the chips may be, can you still rally the guy? Can you still rally the troops? Can you find some of the right plays? Can you connect, as Jordan Love did with Romeo Doubs in the last final minutes of that game?
Yeah, and before we get to that, in that first half, things didn't look good. Derek Carr, all of a sudden, Jimmy Graham's got a little bounce in his step. They connect for that first touchdown, and then something we haven't seen very often is a special teams blunder. What did you see on that play? I know a couple guys got held. I mean, Jonathan Owens and a couple of other, the refs missed a couple things, but there was also some missed assignments on that punt return for a touchdown.
Yeah, right off the bat, I think they're missing number 24, Jared Bush, first off. But I think definitely, special teams it's a huge component about the game, and they made a fantastic play. I think we were too clustered together, and they definitely just outflanked us on the sideline. He cut it back and made a tremendous play. Hats off to them.
Yeah, so they're down 17-0, and then in that second half, what I thought, again, we saw composure from Jordan Love. I mean, he never wavered, steady on the course, and that catch, first of all, they run the option in, they bite, he dives in, makes an athletic play, they go for 2, get it, and then they get the ball back again, and that catch by Doubs, just wow.
Yeah, I thought it was tremendous. Obviously you want to go off the weak link, which was the nickel corner, and that's exactly what they did. They found the chink in the armor, and they went after it and chipped away at his confidence. They went for the down the way fade, and then they came back again on the back shoulder fade, and they dialed in and connected.
Now, it got a little dicey at the end there. The defense, as great as they played, only allowing 10 points, allowed them to get into field goal range, but once again, special teams is a factor.
Yeah, and I think, that's just credit to special teams. You need all 3 phases, the offense, defense, and the special teams to kind of hit on all cylinders. Ultimately, it doesn't always go as planned, but hey, you got to do enough just to win. That's what they did.
Well, one of the most underrated plays of the contest between the Packers and Saints is our U.S. Cellular call of the game. Down 17-9 with just under 7 minutes left in the 4th quarter. Matt LaFleur decides to go for 2, and it paid off in a big way. Jordan Love to Samori Toure, after buying some time, comes back to get the football. All of a sudden, now it's 17-11, and a touchdown and an extra point wins the game, and that's exactly what happened.
Correct, and I love the call, Bert. I definitely feel that you have to play to win the game. I know that sounds cliche, but you have to play and play on your front foot and be aggressive. I think anytime you start playing in the sense of failure, of fear and playing to lose, that's when I feel like you're not in that right mentality. This NFL is a tough league. It's very competitive. Everybody wants to win that Super Bowl. You got to be aggressive and let the chips fall how they may.
And that is one of the few times where analytics was 100% correct, and that worked out. All right, when we come back, one of the all-time greats Antonio Freeman, Packers wide receiver and Hall of Famer, is in the house. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Locker Room right here inside the Radisson Hotel and Conference Center. We're at the Cedar and Sage Restaurant. You know it must be a big night when you see a crowd like that here. Please welcome Packers Hall of Fame wide receiver Antonio Freeman. What's up, boss?
It's funny you say that. I see a lot of grandparents in here, and those are the ones that I was getting fan letters from back in the day, telling me about my eyes. So I see you out there, ladies.
Yeah. Well, look, and let's be honest, Packers shows have been around for a long, long time, and you've been doing it. You've come back. You're one of the guys who you can always count on, whether it's alumni weekend, throughout the season, and that's part of the reason you come back. Not just to hear this, but it's the interaction with the fans, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's the amazing part is, unfortunately, we can't satisfy every single fan, that we encounter. But, man, coming back and hearing the cheers, nobody's cheering for me at home when I get there. My son's a pro soccer player now, so he thinks his career is going to be better than mine.
Yeah.
So, man, it's just great to come back home here, where I spent so many meaningful years of my adult life. And that first time I came back, like 5 years after retirement, I was a little shaky, had anxiety about it. But the minute I stepped on that field and the crowd and the fans just roared, I knew that I needed to come back to Green Bay a little more and interact with the community.
Jarrett?
Yeah.
Very cool.
So, Free, we talked about in several autograph signings. What was that transition like, and what are you doing now?
The transition is real, man. I don't care what anybody says. When you're always going up on a ladder for so many years of your life, from age 15, and then at age 34, that roller coaster has turbulence, and it's just sinking fast. And that's what I describe being retired as is, it's simple things. I went to college, I had health insurance.
Yeah.
Came to the Green Bay Packers, I had health insurance.
Right.
I'm 37 years old, and now I have to fill out my first health insurance application. So leaving the game is a real game changer. But I was able to save a lot of money, had some good people in my corner, and life in retirement's been great. I had struggles trying to find out what I really like to do. I found some success in rehabbing properties back home in Baltimore, so I had to take it back to where I came from, and I found a lot of success doing that. But they all started to recognize me, and rehabbing those houses didn't become so fun.
Yeah, I could see how that would work that way. And look, Baltimore's a rough place. I mean, it's in the Detroit and St. Louis kind of mentality for the bigger cities.
Yes, sir.
For you, though, when you see Jerry Kramer and Dave Robinson and guys like Lynn Dickey and even James Lofton and all the way to the Jarrett Bushes of the world, this alumni weekend is truly special, isn't it?
It's really special because I always tell people my story. Like, to play football, you're a little wacky in the head. So we all get to leave whatever situation we're in, whether it's marriage or relationship or just the kids. And now you get to get back in that same locker room for a second and all be wacky for 3 days with no judgment. It's kind of therapeutic for us, because we don't judge each other by our actions. We kind of understand one another the way the outside world don't understand us.
Well, I can say this, and I know based on our crowd and the youth and experience that we have out there, they all knew at the time in Super Bowl 31 that touchdown catch, 81 yards, was the longest in Super Bowl history, but some of the kids out there might not know that. What a special moment down in New Orleans when you beat the Patriots with that touchdown. Do you still think about that one play? Because it was huge.
If I try to ever forget it, my dad will never let me forget it. I mean, consistently, guys, every time I walk into his house, which is like a couple times a month, he wants to show me something, and it's the Super Bowl. He wants to show me that touchdown. Like, he lives it like day by day by day. But, I mean, I was just a second-year guy. I broke my forearm that year. I had just got the starting lineup. Things were new for me, but things were exciting. I came back, had surgery on my forearm, finished the season out. We didn't miss a beat. And, man, to go 81 yards as a 25-year-old and set the Super Bowl record for the longest touchdown in Super Bowl history, that was definitely one of the monumental moments for me in my career.
Awesome. I think just hearing that story, just gave me chills. what's the greatest piece of advice that you give maybe a young receiver or maybe any young youth that's in here tonight, having played through a broken arm, being 25 years of age? What advice would you give them as they continue to go down their journey, or maybe have thoughts or aspirations to be a professional or even a college athlete?
That's easy. Believe in yourself. Don't let anybody tell you no. Don't let anybody tell you you can't. They tried to call me slow. I found the end zone 61 times in my career. I outran. So there was a lot of other slower guys than me. So don't ever get as high as the newspaper or the media makes you. Never get as low as they take you either. Just try to maintain an even keel. Try to be the best. I wrote "be the best" on my cleats every day at practice before every game, and that's what I strive to be. I tell every kid, don't let anybody tell you you can't, and be the best you.
Be the best you. Well, I can tell you this. You definitely, yes, that's great advice. But you definitely showed your age there because you said newspaper.
Well, the USA Today, that really shows my age.
Kids out there don't know, they have no idea what a newspaper is.
Well, I told you, my real fans, the ones that wrote me letters back in the day, they know about newspapers.
Yep, they definitely do. All right, when we come back, we'll have plenty more with Packers Hall of Fame wide receiver Antonio Freeman. Time now for our Easy Tab fan cam of the game. How about our contingent from Germany over here, from the Deutschland? We'll be back after the break. Welcome back to Locker Room. Huge crowd tonight inside the Cedar and Sage restaurant at the Radisson Hotel and Conference Center. Our special guest, Packers wide receiver and Hall of Famer Antonio Freeman. So, what did you think of the game? I mean, the festivities were great, the alumni. What was the biggest comeback you guys were a part of? I tried to think back in the Holmgren era and even shortly thereafter, but down 17 in the fourth quarter. I don't know if you guys ever even did that.
No, we never did that. And you used the word comeback. Myself, Gilbert Brown, and Santana Dotson, I got to be honest with you guys, we left the game early. So I wished we could come back into the arena. But instead, we walked to our cars and we finished watching the game at a local bar. But yeah, I got frustrated with just the slowness of the game, no points, 17-0. I thought we would never get out of it. But I was watching it on my phone. I have the app on my phone, so I was keeping up. I saw us get 11, and I said, we still got to get another stop. But man, maturity, coming of age. Jordan Love, people counted him out. I'm sure that they were waiting to say bad things when you lose at home 17-0. Talk about that young receiving corps that stepped up, made some plays down the stretch when they needed to. But most importantly, I go back a week ago. I was very disappointed in the defense, allowing Atlanta to come back last week. And Jordan Love as the quarterback, now you have to wear that responsibility of that loss. But I was very impressed with the defense. They went in at halftime, whatever they said amongst each other, they made a pact. And that New Orleans Saints offense didn't move, and they did exactly what they were supposed to do. So I'm very proud of that defense, the way they stepped up. And it was flipped this time. Offense was the slow unit, and the defense was the fast unit. So, man, just resiliency. You're going to need those gritty games like that where you just get it out the mud and just grind it through. A win is a win in this league. You know that's very important. We were playing Detroit last year for the final game because we let some games get away. So each game is very important.
Right, and to cap on that, each game is important. How important it is to, as a young quarterback, as Jordan Love, being a former receiver yourself, what does that do to your chemistry as a receiving core and as a quarterback, and how do you continue to make progress incrementally?
Well, I think what Romeo Dobbs and the rest of the unit did after their touchdowns by giving up the love symbol, that builds confidence. And I was telling a former player, a really good best friend of mine, Rob Davis, last night, I said, man, this symbol right here, those are the things that make legacies. Those are the things that make superstars out of a player. So I'm hoping he can live up to the bill of that love symbol, man, because he's shooting up on an arrow, and he can go a long ways if he can stay consistent and produce victories. That was the biggest thing in our last 30 years of quarterbacks, is those guys won. So if Jordan Love can just win, forget about the numbers, I think he'll do a great job here.
Yeah, definitely calm, cool, and collected. That is for sure. Well, every week we go inside the locker room That's presented by the Oneida Nation and the Radisson Hotel and Conference Center. Time for In the Zone with Cam Ezer.
Here with Packers wide receiver Malik Heath. Malik, I want to track it all the way back to your Colin days, JUCO ball, and knowing that, you know, it's not a huge school. It's an opportunity for you to heighten your career. What was that experience like, playing in in a place that isn't really known for its sports, but you can make it known for yourself?
It was really tough out there playing JUCO ball in Mississippi. Not the best facilities, not the best practice field, not the best fields. You know, we only played 8 games too, so it was hard to get a lot of film out there. But we made the best of it. You know, it was hard though.
So when you make the jump to Mississippi State, how cool was it to know, okay, I'm playing in a D1 program now?
It was exciting, and then I had just, you know, took it like day by day. You know, when I got to the next level, like D1 football, it was more fast tempo. You know, had to learn more schemes, learn defenses, where the open zone was and stuff like this. So it got better as the year went on.
At Ole Miss, your coach Lane Kiffin, known for being fiery and being very invested in the game. Now you're here in Green Bay with Matt LaFleur. Any similarities or differences between the two coaches?
No, I think they got the same similarities. Coach, they gonna fire you up when you did something good, and they gonna fire you up when you doing something bad. So I think both of them got the same similarity. They be like, when everybody touch the ball, explosive plays, they always turn up with celebrating, you know. So I think that they got the same similarities.
Whether you like it or not, you're going to have that undrafted label follow you throughout your career, but you do have that success on top of it, knowing that you made the Green Bay Packers roster. When you look back to your whole draft process, would you change anything?
I wouldn't change the draft process. I'd probably say I'd change the combine. I'd go to the combine, but I wouldn't do all the field events and stuff like that, because, you know, you got to do the same thing at Pro Day anyway with the same scouts in attendance. So I'd say that'll be the only thing I'd change, probably doing the combine stuff.
All right, thanks, fellas. One of those young wide receivers from this group. And when you look at this team, Antonio, youngest in the NFL, I read this on Twitter, I didn't look this up, tallest and biggest team in the NFL by average. I mean, it's only a half an inch and 10 pounds or whatever. Point being, was it time to clean house? And I don't mean just because of Aaron Rodgers, but obviously it wasn't working. And they wanted to go with a youth movement. There's obviously salary cap implications. But as veterans, what do you guys think of where they're going?
I think they're headed in the right direction. When you're a young team, you can spend more money. When your quarterback is not under that huge contract, you can spend money in other places that really makes your team better. And they're not in a bad situation. This will really turn the test, because Detroit knocked us out of the playoffs last year. So Thursday night, these guys should really have a chip on their shoulder, and this game has playoff implications to it. So, I mean, I think this team will be fine. I mean, like you said, they cleared house. Sometimes that's what you have to do, to get to the root of the problem and fix the problem.
Fix the problem. All right, when we come back, we'll have our keys to the game. Thursday Night Football, Packers-Lions, right here at Lambeau Field. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Locker Room. That is Steve and Tina coming from Depeer. They are enjoying the best seats in the house, courtesy of Viper Industrial. All right, Detroit, definitely a different team under Dan Campbell. We've got exactly 1 minute to wrap this up. Lions 5th in the league against the run. They're pretty stout up front, averaging 21 points per game. We saw what they did at the end of last year. What are your 3 keys to the game?
I always say it starts up front. Offensive line has to dominate. The defensive line has to dominate. And special teams. Being a young guy on special teams, I know that special teams matters.
Yep. And
our turnover battle.
Turnover battle.
Got to win that.
All right, we'll go with our dispensary keys to the game. I also say you got to go after Goff. Rattle Jared Goff. He's an okay quarterback, not great. Stop the run, like you said, play good football up front. And, hey, get loud, Lambeau. I tell you what, Sunday, I haven't heard that loud in there in a very, very, very long time. He's Packer wide receiver, Hall of Famer, Antonio Freeman. He's Jarrett Bush. Appreciate you coming out, buddy. Enjoy the game Thursday night. Thanks for listening to this edition of Locker Room. See you next week.
Thank you for watching Locker Room.